What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're continuing on in our series to have a look at the squad selections that have been announced for the Six Nations. Now, the squad announcements, of course, came out a couple of weeks back, but there's been some injuries, there's been some updates, so there are going to be a few changes. This one's going to be about the England team. We've already done one for the Wales and the Ireland team, but England have been suffering a little bit since their initial announcements about a week and a half back now. Quite a few injuries going over the list, so we'll have a look at the team that has been announced. I've adapted it for all the changes, and of course I welcome you guys to drop down in the comment section your thoughts on the team, because it's always nice to see what people think about the team itself. So having a look at the forwards that have been named, as I've been doing for the rest of the teams, I have of course put them into colour-coded order. I know for some new people coming into the world of rugby, trying to learn a little bit more, having a big team sheet list of names just all over the place isn't the most useful, especially with a team like England who've put theirs completely out of order rather than in position order. It's a bit hard to sort of gauge who is who, so they're all in colour-coded order to sort of narrow it down for you guys so you know a little bit more about them. So we'll have a quick run through, have a look at the team that's been mentioned, go over some thoughts on the teams. Starting out there with the props: Dan Cole, Ellis Genge, Joe Hayes, Bevan Rodd, Kyle Sinclair, and Mako Vunipola. Now, this is an interesting switch-up. We'll probably be seeing across this team. A lot of people are quite surprised to see new coaching staff now with England. They haven't just shredded the team and created a whole brand new one, which a couple of people were surprised about. I think this is the better way to go. Sort of adjusting the team that already exists, make it your own a little bit, but I wouldn't, don't throw the sink out at the minute. Just try and build towards that World Cup is important. Now, big mention here is probably going to be Dan Cole for me. 95 caps, age 35, back into the team. There's been a bit of hit or miss about whether this was the right move. We haven't seen Dan Cole play for England for a good while now, so I was a bit surprised to see him back in there. Mako Vunipola, another one for me, was a bit of a surprise. I don't think Mako Vunipola had a particularly good year last year in the England jersey. We saw a couple of scrummaging. There was one game he had where he literally got flipped upside down in the scrum. He got scrummed so hard again. So maybe the prop department could have a couple of switch-ups there, but I can see England wanting to stick with a couple of the big names you see. Ellis Genge has been coming into his own over the last 12, 18 months. Kyle Sinclair scrummaging been good as well. I imagine you're probably seeing those boys start quite a few games. Hooker department. Oh, man. Are these boys struggling? This will be the big area of concern for me, probably in this England team. 3 hookers named, 2 hookers gone through injury since a week and a half ago. We've lost Jamie George to an injury. Jamie Blumeyer comes in, and George McGuigan, who was going to be the uncapped hooker coming in, unfortunately also going out, replaced by Tom Dunn, who is a bit of a veteran of the game. He's 30 years old, but only has 3 caps in that international jersey for England. And then finally, Jack Walker, who is uncapped coming in, has got a couple of caps with the under-20s, though. I did go and have a bit of a look at that. 21 caps for the under-20s for England. So used to sort of the international scene at under-20s level, uncapped going into this tournament. So a bit of a concern here maybe in terms of caps, just because the total number of caps combined for the hookers now in this England team, 9 caps between all of them. It's quite hard to gauge with caps, though, because of course there is experience when you've got people like Tom Dunn, 30 years old. He's got experience playing the game, number of caps playing at club level and stuff. So is experienced, but just not in that international stage. Hooker's a big position as well, in terms of your scrums, your line-outs. You just want people on the ball. I think this will be an area that could be a bit of concern. They'll probably be working very hard to try and get these boys up to international standard before the first game against Scotland. In the lock department then, Ollie Chesham, Johnny Hill, Nick Ezekwe, Maro Itoje, and David Ribbans comes in for the injured Courtney Laws, which was a shame. I was looking forward to see Courtney Laws. I have also colour-coded these for the position they sort of used to seeing them play. There's no real announcement of what position they're directly playing. Of course, players like Maro Itoje can swap between lock and flanker if he needs to. There's a couple of utilities, but I've given them the best colour coding I could do. Again here, the 3 sort of standouts you've seen here: Johnny Hill, Ezekwe, Maro Itoje. Out of those 2, I'm probably leaning towards Hill and Maro Itoje to be starting a lot of games, but nice to see David Ribbans getting into the side. A couple of people were surprised by his omission, so getting the chance now, it's just a shame it comes at the expense of someone like Courtney Laws, who has been improving so much over the last few years. I'm really enjoying seeing Courtney Laws. Shame he'll miss out over this Six Nations. And then finally, in that back row, Ben Curry comes in. No Tom Curry this year, of course, out with injury, but Ben Curry getting a chance to shine. You might find it hard to distinguish them. They do look like identical. They are you could tell they're brothers at a very good look. But Ben Curry, a very, very good player as well. Alex Dornbrand, who's taken the sort of field by storm. I'm enjoying seeing him in that number 8 shirt. Brings a bit of energy into that number 8 shirt. Ben Earl comes in alongside Lewis Ludlam, Sam Simmons, and Jack Willis. Now, no Billy Vunipola. I don't believe this is down to an injury. I think this is just not in. Performance-based, not showing off. And to be honest, I don't think that's that surprising. Billy Vunipola not really been that top quality that he has been in the past for a little while now. For me personally, I am looking at someone like Alex Dornbrandt, maybe Sam Simmons in that 8 shirt, who I'd be chucking in there as my first sort of choice. So for me, not that surprised by Billy Vunipola not getting in, but of course I'm sure a lot of people will be expecting to see a name like that in the squad. In terms of the backs then, we've got Jack Van Portvliet and Ben Youngs. Ben Youngs getting a bit of stick, as we sort of saw across the Six Nations. To me personally, I think Portvliet is away. I think he's picked ahead of Ben Youngs at this point. I would have him starting. Also in the mix now, Alex Mitchell coming in, who I did think was uncapped. Apparently he has 1 cap. I don't remember the game he played for him to have that 1 cap personally, but nice to see him back in this squad. I'm looking forward to see what he can get up to. But for me there, Jack Van Portvliet is got to be taking the start. I think he's been showing off so well for that England team in that scrum half, really adding energy, speed into the team to put England on the front foot. England do so well when they're the aggressive, dominant team. I think you need speed. Ben Young's for me a little bit too slow in his decision making to get the ball out the ruck and really help the rest of the team out. Fly halves, I've included Owen Farrell in fly half. I know he plays a lot of inside centre for England, but there's no one else that really stands out to just be that other fly half. So 3 fly halves named. I've got for Owen Farrell in there, but he may well be playing inside centre alongside a Marcus Smith and a new Smith, Finn Smith, coming in there, also uncapped. Could find it tricky to get in. We're not really sure yet with the new coaching staff how they're going to want to play Owen Farrell. Is he going to play at that centre position alongside Marcus Smith? Is he going to take over 10? He's playing pretty well at 10 recently, so maybe we'll see Owen Farrell take 10. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Owen Farrell at 12, Marcus Smith at 10, with Finn Smith on the bench. Gives you great coverage. You can put them wherever you want. You can either sub on someone else for the centre partnership. If there's an injury at fly half, Finn Smith can come on. If you don't want him to come on, move Owen Farrell into that 10 shirt, put a different centre on. I think there's some good coverage there. I would probably keep that the same, but we'll have to see how they get on. Centre positions, Dan Kelly, Joe Marchant, Henry Slade, and Manu Tuilagi, and the latest addition to the centre partnership. Ollie Lawrence comes in for an injured Elliot Daly. We were talking about this on stream the other day. I really feel like Elliot Daly is going to be a big miss in this team. I think Elliot Daly is proving quite valuable in a team like this now, just for the utility. Centre, winger, fullback, cannon boot to get long-range penalties if you need them to. I think they lose a valuable sort of super sub in the team now by not having him, but Ollie Lawrence getting into the side. Again, a couple people were quite surprised by his omission. And I think rightly so. I think Ollie Lawrence coming into his own a little bit. A couple of these lads also can be chucked out on the wing. Joe Marchant, Ollie Lawrence, we've sort of seen them thrown out on the wing occasionally. So they're happy to move around, but I feel like the way England have played for so long, you're probably looking at Owen Farrell at inside centre anyway. You're looking more at who's taking that outside centre, and I would maybe imagine Tuilagi gets the start ahead of the other two. Maybe put Ollie Lawrence out there as well. Maybe they mix it in with Henry Slade and someone else on the outside centre. But a nice little mix of centres to be added into this team. The back three then. Some interesting choices here, just to sort of go through. Tommy Freeman coming in alongside of Ollie Hassel-Collins, Max Malins, Caden Murley, and Freddie Stewart. Now, Freddie Stewart's just a staple in this England team now. I think he's been absolutely superb since he's come on to the England scene. 2 uncapped players in Hassel-Collins and Murley. So we'll have to see how they get on in this side. Big names being omitted here. Johnny May, Radwin. Both those boys not in the side. Singer has been getting into the side over the last sort of year. He's been scoring tries, been doing stuff. I still think people criticise his defence, which is maybe why he's not looked to get in this team. But, you know, he gets over that try line quite a few times. Max Malins has had his sort of spells with England, but never really sort of settled in. So there's some new blood in this team. There's some older heads on shoulders. But it feels quite an extreme team to me in terms of you've either got very high cap, very high experience, or no caps. It feels quite an extreme team. Not a lot of middle grounds, which over the course of a Six Nations, sometimes you just want those middle ground lads to get in. So still some big learning curves for a lot of players. A few more Leicester Tigers players in here, as you'd probably expect now coming in. They're not throwing out the team and building a whole brand new team. They're just sort of adapting the team to the new coaching style, and I quite like that. There are a couple of areas that I'm not personally sure of myself. I think maybe that back three be a little bit experimental to see how they get on. The hooker position as well could be a bit of an issue for them, so we'll have to see how they get on. In terms of a team then, going up against Scotland, first match at home, big pressure, wanting to come away with a win, I would imagine, for England. I mean, they're going to play Italy after as well at home, so maybe 2 wins on the balance would be a good start for them. In terms of a team then, what do you start off with? For me, I think you're going for your Ellis Genji, Kyle Sinclair. I think they've worked well together. The hooker position, I might give to Jamie Blamire. Just for a bit of youth, a bit of energy. I feel like the games we've seen in the last few Six Nations where Scotland have got on top of England, come away with those wins, it's normally because England get put on the back foot. I feel like if you're able to put Scotland down and try and pin them back, I feel like you can get the big advantage in that game. So having someone like Jamie Blamire come in, speed, energy, youth, get himself on the ball, I feel like that might be a way to put a bit of added pressure and get him in the scrums. So I think that would probably go to my front row. Lock department, I still think you're looking at Johnny Hill and Mauro Itoje. For me, I don't think Ezekwe's currently there. I would probably be starting with those two. In terms of the back row then, I think I would stick with those three in the left-hand column. I think Ben Curry, Ben Earl and Alex Dornbrandt. I think Ben Curry can swap between 6 and 7. I'd probably chuck Ben Earl in that flanker position, Ben Curry alongside him, and then Alex Dornbrandt in the number 8 shirt is what I think I'd be going for. There's some tough picks in this team, to be fair. Halfback partnership for me is Jack Van Portfleet all day long. I think he stands out to me now. He should be that number 1 choice. I think he adds so much speed to that England squad. I would be going for Marcus Smith at that fly half position. Your 2 centres, I would keep Owen Farrell in that inside centre, and I think I would have Manu Tuilagi in the outside centre. Just again, added pressure, running attack. You've got to commit men on him. As long as he's got the support, Scotland got so many good jacklers, you don't want him getting isolated on one of those hard runs. But if you can keep support with him, I think that's probably the better centre partnership for me. And then finally in that back three, man, what do you do here? I mean, Freddie Stewart has to go at your full-back position, right? And then in terms of the wing, oh man, there's a couple of uncapped boys there. We're not sure how they'll cope with that international scene. Scotland's a tough game to get introduced to. I think I might go for... I think on the wings, I'd probably go for Tommy Freeman and Max Malins just for the first game. I'd try and let them settle in. Maybe you check on some of the uncapped boys going towards that Italy team. It's a strong England squad that's been announced, but it does seem to be quite extreme in terms of its high cap players or very, very low cap players. So hopefully England will have a good Six Nations. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of the team and who you would pick to be in your starting 15. Of course, there'll be a bunch of Six Nations videos coming out on the channel across the Six Nations leading up to it, all that fun stuff. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel to keep up to date with all the latest videos. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.